Well, shit. That was much shorter than I expected it to be. And unfortunately, that's not the first time I've had to say that. And just like last time I was hanging out with your mother, hope you guys are going to do me a solid and pretend to be satisfied by this shorter than usual video, as we do our best to get through to the 10-minute mark when talking about how fast Vitality blitzed MOUZ and how dominantly G2 blasted FURIA out of the Blast London semifinals. And yeah, the stage is set. Will Vitality reclaim glory, or will G2 win its first title in almost an entire calendar year under entirely new management since the last time they lifted a trophy? Let's go ahead and get right into it. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, you should leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me 10K subs by the end of the year. We were like 50 some odd subs off of 8K, so hit that button and let's hit 8,000 subscribers before the grand finals recap tomorrow. Other than that, follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. Let's go ahead and thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Skins Monkey, a CS2 trading website. You put in the skins that you want to trade, you select what you want, you use my code LionHeartZ for up to $5 off, or click the top link in the description, and boom, new drip.
Nice.
You can also use my code for a 35% deposit bonus if you want to buy with real money. And they have a free section with cool giveaways. So check the top link in the description, use my code to buy 15 Dragon Lores to let them know I sent you their way, and thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Okay, so Vitality versus MOUZ. I was 100% vindicated. MOUZ looked like hot dog ass shit. They scraped together 6 T-side rounds across both Mirage and Inferno, and along the way, their individuals fell off a goddamn cliff. I'm just going to show you guys 2 images. One of them are the series stats from I Am Cologne. Alright, take a look. As you can see, a whole lot of red for Vitality. You know, Flames and Zyro not doing great. Shout out to Rops. A lot of green for MOUZ, Torzy, Xertion. Yes, very good, very good, very good. Here's today's. And, you know, listen, I'm no expert, but, they appear to have flipped in terms of overall results. Zyro and Flames cooked, you know, Xertion and Torzy got burnt, as one might say. Yeah. MOUZ failed to get double-digit rounds on either map. Anyways, it was just a total flipping of the script. Everything that went right for MOUZ and Cologne went wrong here. They got roundly beat in terms of opening kills overall. And then there were just a handful of key rounds that MOUZ gave up pretty unforgivable losses on to anti-eco, specifically on Mirage, that were huge swing points of momentum. We opened up the game with Vitality taking the pistol round very strongly, converting the anti-eco defense afterwards. MOUZ would win the first gun round pretty dominantly, and then convert the second one off the back of a great late A-side take, which left Vitality with a broken economy going into the 5th round, just a couple of upgraded pistols, a handful of nades. This should be a round that MOUZ are going to convert every single time, right? Well, they're going to just span out here, take some mid control, and then a God Flash is going to get thrown over the top and totally ruin the 3 players standing on top of Catwalk. This is going to cause some immediate chaos. Even though Torzy is going to take a pick, Xertion is blind firing and does a huge amount of damage to Jimmy, which sets him up for an easy kill from Rops, allowing Zyro to clean up Torzy, who was also chipped low from the Mayhem. The remaining players are going to scatter back to the top of mid and hide out. Meanwhile, Spinks is going to lurk out B and try and cross over to Catwalk, as Apex is rotating through market with a CZ and shoots him in the side of the head, leaving us in a 2v4 situation as the round crumbles in a matter of seconds. Now, of course, shit can just go wrong. That's always liable to happen. But I feel like with 4 people going out mid, 3 of them, I believe even all 4 actually getting hit by this flashbang, it feels like just kind of sloppy teamwork. Someone needs to be sitting for anti-flash, or multiple people in that regard, because you never know what's going to be bought up. It just feels like MOUZ got caught with their pants down, and it cost them an important round swing in terms of momentum. Now, in fairness, in the very next round, Spinks is going to pull off a great 1v2 clutch on the A side that's going to momentarily cut Vitality at the knees. And that should be a key moment for MOUZ. You stifled the bleeding for the bad anti-eco loss. You get this huge clutch win. If you can convert the second one and re-break Vitality's economy, now we're cooking. You have full control through the rest of this half. However, in the round afterwards, we just go back into a very bog standard A split, 2 in Palace, 3A ramp, no real attempt at mid control, let's just go out A. Zyro misses his first shot and then catches a repeat onto Brolin with a nade out, which Brolin, as soon as Zyro hits that first shot, you gotta have your gun out there. There's no excuse to be peeking full wide A main with a nade in your hand at that point. Flamesy gets a pick on Jimmy coming out of Palace. And even though Zershin takes care of him a few seconds afterwards, this has totally delayed the pace of the take. Vitality are fully rotated. Apex and Zyro combined for 2 more picks apiece, leaving Torji disconnected in a 1v4. It's just this oscillation of things going very well, then a very poor effort round just crashes whatever MOUZ are building into. You see a similar thing in the second half, where, they convert the pistol round, they get some early momentum going, have a really strong A-side hold, like here on round 15. Spingy sees a great triple kill, just totally shutting down the Vitality attack, similar to how Vitality did to them in the first half, frankly. But in the next round, you got Vitality on broken econ situation, a couple upgraded pistols, and then Apex decided to buy a scout because he thinks he's that guy. Unfortunately for MOUZ, it turns out that that might be an apt description, because MOUZ, they play very hands-off, which I'm actually pretty pro in this kind of situation. They're just going to give up mid-control pretty fully and let Vitality kind of work their own situation for about a minute in, and then strafing through into the connector push, Zershin kind of overpeaks from top stairs and gets decked by Apex, giving room for Vitality to pile into A. And with MOUZ playing so far back, so hands-off, it leaves Brolin in a terrible position where he's now out of place towards CT with no backup, and he gets run down by the Tech 9s. And at that point, it's a 3v5. Yeah, sure, the money's good, you can make an attempt at it, and it's not like Vitality have many resources. Why not just save, concede the round, and move forward? Unfortunately, over the next 3 straight rounds, that would be the same cycle. MOUZ would lose map control early, usually the A side, and then be forced into an immediate save. There was no room to attempt retakes, and even if they did, they just got bounced out. Vitality just ran them over and over. They got the openings, they got into bomb sites, they planted the bomb, MOUZ were forced into saves. In what feels like a blink, the game goes from an 8-7 close affair to Vitality winning 13-7, and MOUZ feeling like they really had no chance at any point. And to be totally honest with you, when we go over to Inferno, I was tempted to do more just kind of in-depth analysis, look at some of these close rounds, because the first half was very exciting because MOUZ were on their CT side where they can actually play competitive rounds. There was a lot of good nuance between like the banana control exchanges between Flamesy and Zershin, some good late A rotates, some good retakes out of MOUZ, frankly. So going into the second half, things were remaining close enough to where we could have seen like a potential third map. But MOUZ's T side is just dreadful. They got blanked for the first 5 straight rounds before they could manage to put anything on the board. And one of those round wins comes off the back of just Spinks getting 2 immediate picks on A and forcing a save. It wasn't anything interesting, it was just you won your 2 openers and Inferno necessitates an immediate save in a 5v3 every single time if you're the CTs. It's just non-negotiable. So like, this was just a boring game because the rounds that mattered, Vitality dominated. Just to give you guys kind of a look into my mind, this is sometimes kind of the crisis I deal with when making these videos. Like, I feel like I'm under-delivering content about 2 semifinals in a situation like this when I frankly just don't have much to say. This game is such an open and shut case. It's very clear what went right, what went wrong, and how outclassed MOUZ were. That's like, I could spend another 3 or 4 minutes breaking down specific round examples, but at that point, it kind of feels like I'm just wasting your time. You know what I mean? And that's like the push and pull that I go through, where the more time I dedicate is more time I spend on my days when I could be doing other things or relaxing. But if the video is too long for, not really the sake of it being too long, then that can just be boring to you guys. So I'm still like figuring out when and where that cutoff has to happen. I don't want to come across like I'm minimizing what happens in these games or just like saying results to you, but I also don't want to just go into nuance for nuance's sake. I want there to be something something to gain, something to learn, something to be interested in from that nuance. With all of that said, when it comes down to G2 versus FURIA, I'm going to be brief. This was a fucking blowout. G2 held FURIA to 5 rounds on both Inferno and Mirage, and at no point did the FURIA that has really stood out, that has excited me and many others, come to play. Flat out, there are 2 sides to this coin. 1, G2 played way above their level. Sunpius was fucking elite. Everybody was elite, including Hunter. They simply could not miss in any engagement they took. And 2, FURIA started slow and stayed slow. There was no meaningful impact from Molodoy, not much out of K Serato. Yuri struggled, everybody struggled, and Fallen, who has been, frankly, revitalizing his career from his depth of calling, could not find a way to better position his players when they were just getting their heads ripped off by G2. This was an overpowering assault from G2 from start to finish, And frankly, one of the most dominant wins I have seen from this organization, going back to even like the Nico Munnessy days. Like, this was a fucking stomp. And again, I just have to give my flowers to Sunpius. I have been a Sunpius defender on this channel for a long time. If you've been watching my videos, you know that. I was very positive about Sunpius going to G2 from the beginning, and he unfortunately fell flat in his debut and has not lived up to the expectations of what I thought he could be. I've said that Sunpius could be a borderline top 5 opper. He's shown that in years past, but he really has struggled to maintain that form, especially against top 10 and top 5 competition. So, frankly, I was really worried that he would get run over by Molodoy, who is currently just burning the scene down. He's taking down big name oppers like it's not even an effort for him. But no, the Sunpius did fantastic in the 1v1 against Molodoy. Across both maps, he goes 8-4 in that 1v1. And then he also is just smurfing on everybody else. Even had great impact with his rifles. His M4 on CT side Inferno was also doing great because frankly the game was too short for him to get an op in his hands. And then Heavy God. Jesus Christ, Heavy God. Heavy God's breaking out. Like, I guess the best comparison I could make is that Heavy God is breaking out right now in a similar way that MOUZ did when he first joined G2 last year, where it's like, holy shit, Heavy God's not just like a top 20 player, he's playing like a top 10 player. He's having top 10 player in the world impact. His clutching right now is fucking insane. I made the comparison in yesterday's video, and I think it's absolutely perfect. He reminds me, in terms of his playstyle, so much like Rops. Like, it's so rare to see someone who plays the anchor lurker position and plays it at such a high level, and is also so versatile. He can switch up his positions, he can adapt to what's needed, he can use the rifles, he can use the op, he can use a little bit of everything. He can get impacted eco rounds. He is just such a game-swinging, consistent player where he's always going to get like 1, sometimes 2, and then also break out for huge multi-kills on top of that. I really thought this had potential to be the most competitive game in the tournament. I don't think anyone could legislate for FURIA to play this poor and for G2 to look this good already. To the point that, if you're Vitality, you by no means have a free run tomorrow in the best of 5. Yeah, for Maddies and Heavy God, it's going to be their first experience there, but they are playing like a team with veteran confidence, with veteran savvy. I think Hunter is calling at an extremely high level in this event. With the momentum they're currently riding on, yeah, the door is open. I think the G2 can absolutely beat Vitality. I don't think that's unreasonable to say. Now, I will say that I think Sunpius did overperform today. Will he hold up as well as he did today against Zyro? That's certainly a question worth asking. I think Heavy God and MOUZ are going to be fucking consistent, but Sunpius and Maddies are someone that are people that really we should be worried about in a best of 5 context. I think Hunter's calling will absolutely hold up. And just the question is, will they, be able to carry this momentum day to day, or will they overextend themselves today only to underdeliver tomorrow? Really just have to wait and see. For FURIA, ultimately, this is a huge wasted opportunity. This is one of your best chances to make a grand finals of a tier 1 event all year. This bracket was heavily weighed in your favor. You were the by far favorite to make the finals at least. I had you guys as the tournament favorites to win. I stand by that assessment based on how you've played recently, but you showed up on stage and frankly didn't deliver at the level we expected. Everyone underperformed. That is ultimately going to happen sometimes. It is a newer team. You guys aren't very experienced in deep playoff runs yet as a core. And hopefully this is just a growing moment. We've seen teams like the Mongols have to struggle with finding that form in general. So for FURIA, it sucks, but I don't think anyone should be concerned about this. They simply didn't play up to standard today, and that is just sometimes going to happen. Anyways, keep it chill. Help me reach 8,000 subscribers before tomorrow's grand final starts. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Help me to 10K by the end of the year while we're at it. Also follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. Thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Check top link description. Go train their website. Let them know I sent you their way. Thank you to my channel members: Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vegt, I'm Flash being Snowly Right, Rowdy, LBKcs, Snax Enjoyer, Crunchybar, zerotwocs, drudenae, chron, Gano, Zyro, Devvrat Singh, and Clyde Mead. If you want to become a channel member, you can do so in the link description. Help with the video. Just as well as customer on the community Discord. All right, bye.